One night, one ship, and the lives of 1,500 people. April 1912. The world's biggest, most luxurious ship launched into the ocean for the first time. Its name was RMS Titanic. People used to say, "This ship will never sink. Even God cannot sink it." But 4 days later, just 4 days later, 1,500 people died. Today I will tell you everything that school never taught, everything that movies never showed, the real story of Titanic. Let's talk about this ship. Where did it come from? How was it made? The year was 1907. There was a company in England, White Star Line. They had a competitor, Cunard Line. And Cunard had built two very fast ships. White Star Line got scared. They thought, we cannot win in speed, so we will win in size. We will win in luxury. And from this idea, Titanic was born, in Belfast, Ireland, at the Harland and Wolff shipyard. 3,000 workers worked for 3 years, every day, every single day. And then in 1911, Titanic was ready. Now listen to its numbers. Length, 269 meters. That is 3 football fields together. Weight, 46,000 tons. Height, 53 meters. That is a 17-story building. What was inside? 840 cabins, 4 restaurants, a swimming pool, a squash court, a library, a gymnasium, and in first class, there was even a Turkish bath. First class ticket? In today's money, this was not just a ship, brother. This was a floating city, a floating palace. Now, let's talk about the man, in whose hands were the lives of 2,224 people. His name was Captain Edward John Smith, 62 years old, 40 years of experience at sea, the most respected, most trusted captain of the British Navy. People lovingly called him the millionaire's captain, because rich people only wanted to travel with him. People bought tickets just hearing his name. Captain Smith's life was very interesting. Born in 1850 in England, at just 17 years old, he left home, went to the sea, and never looked back. In 40 years, he traveled every corner of the world, crossed the Atlantic thousands of times, never had a major accident. And this Titanic journey was the last journey of his life. After this trip, he was going to retire, go home, rest, spend time with his daughter. But fate had something else planned. Now listen to the most important part. On April 14, 1912, Captain Smith received 6 ice warnings. 6, from different ships. All were saying, there is a lot of ice ahead. Slow down. What did Captain Smith do? Ignored all of them, did not reduce speed. Why? Because there was pressure from White Star Line. Reach America quickly. Reach in record time. There will be publicity. And the price of that publicity was paid with the lives of 1,500 people. At 11:40 at night, when the iceberg hit, Captain Smith was in his cabin. An officer came running. "Sir, iceberg." Captain Smith came to the bridge. He saw it. He understood, now nothing can be done. He gave the command, "Lower the lifeboats, women and children first." And himself? He did not take a place in any lifeboat. He said, "Every man for himself," and stood on the bridge with his ship. The last time Captain Smith was seen, in freezing water, saving a small child. He placed the child into a lifeboat and stayed in the water himself. His body was never found. Even today, somewhere in the ocean, Captain Edward John Smith remains. Now we come to that night, April 14, 1912, 11:40 at night. Titanic was moving at full speed, 47 kilometers per hour. In the crow's nest, there were 2 lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee. It was extremely dark. And there was one big problem. They did not have binoculars. The binoculars were locked in a box, and the key to that box was forgotten in Southampton. Fleet saw something dark coming. He rang the bell 3 times.
called the bridge. "Iceberg, right ahead!" Officer Murdoch gave the command. "Hard to starboard! Engines reverse!" 37 seconds. Just 37 seconds, and the iceberg arrived. The ship turned slightly, but not completely. The iceberg ripped the right side of Titanic. In a 269-meter-long ship, a 90-meter gash. Water started filling in. Titanic had 16 watertight compartments, 5 filled with water. The ship could only handle 4. Engineers calculated Titanic will not last more than 2 hours. After 2 hours 40 minutes, April 15, 1912, 2:20 at night, Titanic sank, forever. And now the most heartbreaking part. There were 2,224 people on Titanic. 710 survived. 1,514 died. But these deaths were not equal. First class, 62% survived. Second class, 41% survived. Third class, only 25% survived. Why such a difference? Because third-class passengers were locked below. They were not allowed to come up. They were not even allowed to reach lifeboats. Who were these people? These were people going to America for a better life, dreaming, wanting to build a new home. And they were drowned, just because they didn't have money.
This was not just a tragedy, brother. This was a murder of the class system. But in this darkness, there was some light, too. Titanic's band. 8 musicians. When the ship was sinking, when people were running, when there was chaos, these 8 men stood on the deck and kept playing music to calm people, to reduce fear. Not even one of them survived. Not even one. These were the real heroes, whom nobody talks about. And there are some things you have never heard before. First, there were 3 dogs on Titanic, and all 3 survived. They belonged to first-class passengers. They got space in lifeboats. Second, J.P. Morgan, the richest man in America at that time, he had a ticket for Titanic, canceled it at the last moment. People say he already knew. It's a conspiracy theory, but worth thinking about. Third, Titanic had a sister ship called Olympic. Some people say the real Titanic never sank. Olympic sank instead, for insurance fraud. This is also a conspiracy theory. Fourth, when Titanic sank, there was another ship nearby, SS Californian. They could see the distress signals. They could see the rockets. But their captain was sleeping, and they did nothing. 1,500 people died, and a ship was standing nearby. Titanic was not just a ship, it was a lesson of arrogance. When humans think they are above everything, of inequality, when a rich person's life is considered more valuable than a poor person's, of greed, when for a record, thousands of lives are put at risk. And the story of a captain who, after his mistake, died with his ship. Even today, RMS Titanic lies 3,800 meters below the Atlantic, silent, alone. But its story still tells us something. No one is unsinkable.